Hello friends, looking at current affairs for 22nd May, the news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 10. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, green energy target tough, says officials. So this is regarding India's renewable energy target. We have planned to achieve 175 gigawatts of renewable energy by 2022. So this much needs to be installed. Out of this 175 gigawatts, 100 gigawatts is for solar energy, and out of these 100 gigawatts for solar, 40 gigawatts is through rooftop solar program. And in this rooftop solar program section, the progress has been very poor. Others are on target, but because of rooftop solar program not being on track, we will not be able to achieve 175 gigawatts is what is estimated by officials here. So this problems with rooftop solar program which has been highlighted is that the tariff structure right now is such that it is not remunerative. It is not remunerative means it will not be paying for people to set up rooftop solar plants. The cost is much more higher than what they will stand to benefit out of rooftop solar. Plus, also in many regions in the country, many regions, the roofs as such are used for various other purposes. Clothes are hung, or even they are used for sleeping as such. So, in such cases, placing solar panels on the rooftops may not be an option which they may consider. So, steps need to be taken by the government in this direction. Rooftop solar targets have to be achieved so that India can achieve this target as well. So here you can see what has been achieved in rooftop is only 1.3 gigawatts of the target 40 gigawatts. So this is coming forth here. So you can see solar total was 100, out of which this much has been achieved. Rooftop achievement has been quite low. For wind, the target was 60, out of which significant has been achieved as such. Even small hydro biomass are on track. Then next is taking on drinking water problem head on in Rajasthan. So these students from IIT Jodhpur have developed a filter called G filter. So this they had been working on it since 2013. So these have micro nanospores. So and through this water flows under gravity. So this G gravity filter. So this easily the water can be clean and E. coli can be eliminated from it. So this without using reverse osmosis and energy intensive expensive equipments which are generally used in urban homes, the G filter can easily be installed in rural areas. So this is the development here, G filter, and they have also registered for it for patent. So process patenting would be gone ahead with so that the villages can easily use this also in areas where there's not enough electricity to. This will work well. So you can see it can clean impurities of bacteria, mostly E. coli, metal contamination, chemical impurities can be removed. So it has been certified by Union Government's National Test House too. Next is 180 families of Dalit renounce Hinduism. So this is recent incident which had taken place in Saharanpur district where the dispute between the Thakurs and the Dalits here because of radio played during a procession too, and a death of a youth also resulted in flaring up of the incident. Now these Dalits say that we are not given status of being a Hindu because of the upper caste. They treat us like slaves, so it is better to give up the religion. So this is the announcement which they have made, that they would renounce Hinduism. Because police also, they say they are taking one-sided action against the Bhim army of the Dalits rather than taking action against the Thakurs, the so-called upper caste. So this is the case here. Next is Maharashtra releases Koyna water to crisis hit Karnataka. So this Koyna dam in Satara district in Maharashtra, the Maharashtra government has decided to release water from here to the crisis hit Karnataka, where the water crisis is quite imminent. So here a 10-day period water release would be done for 0.5 TMC. Already 2.5 TMC water release was done last month too from Koyna. Also, Karnataka government would release water from its Almaty dam, which would benefit the Solapur district of Maharashtra. So this give and take and cooperation which is seen in interstate water crisis should be known. Then next is defense deals await private firms. So this is regarding the strategic partnership model. We have been discussing it. You should know about it by now, that this is a model which would be finalized by the government under the defense procurement procedure. So this will be how Indian private sector can also have agreements with original equipment manufacturers, OEMs, and make in India and defense can be put into effect. So this actually the Union government has now finalized on this. It is in the last stages of approval. So Cabinet Committee of Security and the Finance Ministry would finalize it and formally the PMO finally would give its approval and then it will come into effect. So this is on track is what is the news presently. We have already discussed about this, that there will be 4 areas, 4 segments in which this strategic partnership model would be affected. So these are submarines, single engine fighter aircrafts, helicopters and armored carriers or main battle tanks. So from this, submarines and helicopters are for the Navy, single engine fighter aircrafts are for the Air Force, and MBT armored carriers are for the Army. So here one private sector would be selected as such for each of these, and they would have a direct agreement with the OEMs, original equipment manufacturers. So these OEMs would also be selected on the basis of technical and financial evaluation. So what is this OEM also is mentioned here. So it means original equipment manufacturer. So if there is a system, say for example is IBM computer. So if IBM computer is a system and in this the power cords are coming from Acme company, then Acme is the original equipment manufacturer of power cords. So it will be called an OEM. So one equipment as part of the subsystem which is manufactured by a company. It's a company's end product. So that is the original equipment manufacturer. So such deals can be undertaken there. Next is explain Gorshkov cost, CIC. So Central Information Commission is asking the Navy to disclose the reason why India agreed to cost escalation for the purchase of Admiral Gorshkov. So this has been renamed as INS Vikramaditya. This agreement was signed in 2004 by then NDA government. So after that, this price has increased from $974 million originally agreed upon. Now price is $2.35 billion in 2010. So why this price escalated and why the Navy has agreed to have this price escalation has been accepted is the question which Central Information Commission is asking. Central Information Commission is the body under RTI Act, Right to Information Act. So this is the question being raised here. The ship is also this 44,500 ton aircraft carrier. So it can carry around 30 aircrafts as such. It has been renamed INS Vikramaditya. So this the Navy is trying to put the onus of disclosure on the Defense Ministry, and Ministry is saying that the reply should come from the Naval Force only. They don't have a role to play. So this passing the buck is taking place in this matter. But the Commission has ordered the disclosure of all the net final cost incurred on modifications, renovations, and the date of payments when payments were made by India. So it has said that this disclosure is important in larger public interest. Though Navy and Defense Ministry have been withholding information saying that this is on grounds of national security. So this is the issue presently in news. So we'll see what further developments take place in this. Also CIC is asking why a used Admiral Gorshkov was actually originally inducted into the Russian forces, and then after its term over, it's 30-year-old warship now. So after it served as such in Russia, it has been refurbished and has been brought by India. So why an old warship was taken also is a question which CIC is asking the Navy now. The next is Navy rescues Maldivian landing craft. So this was in news that Maldivian landing craft Maria 3 contact had been lost with it. So Indian Navy, the INS Kerch, Indian naval ship Kerch, this was put into service and it has found this landing craft now. So it was around 120 nautical miles away from the last place where it was located. So this has been the step taken, and India has assisted Maldives in finding the landing craft. So Maldives is a neighbor of India, you should know, in the Indian Ocean. Here you can see it's below Lakshadweep. Here. So this Seychelles lies here. So these are island nations, archipelagos as such, group of islands. This is BIOT, British Indian Ocean Territory, also known as Chagos Archipelago. So this is owned by UK as such. So this is also below Maldives. So these locations also you should know. Then next is Japan plans war museum in Manipur Hillock. So this is the Japanese ambassador who has stated this plan that there would be a war museum built in Manipur, because this was the place where around 70,000 Japanese soldiers lost their lives in 1944 during the World War II. So Indian National Army had taken assistance from Japan, and they along with the Japanese forces had reached Manipur too, and even the Indian flag was furled here. So this plan has been announced now. Even Manipur Chief Minister has promised assistance to the Japanese government for implementing this project of a war museum. This is there. So INA or Azad Hind, as it was established by the and finally put into effect by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. So this had plans to overthrow British colonial rule during World War II. So it took assistance from Japan. The Indian prisoners of wars which were captured by Japan. So Japan was on the other side, on the Axis side. So the Britishers were taking the services of Indian soldiers. So Indian soldiers who were captured by Japan from these forces, these prisoners of war were taken over by Indian National Army, and these regiments were formed. Even women regiment like Rani Jhansi regiment were formed, and they had decided to fight for freedom for India. So this, they had entered into Manipur also and planted the Indian flag here. Finally, World War II, Japan was defeated, so even INA efforts failed, but these steps were taken and even soldiers have lost their lives, so a war museum will be established now. Next is North Korea fires mid-range missile. So again, North Korea has fired another medium-range missile, and USA and South Korean officials have taken that steps would be taken. It's a challenge to the world. Even Japanese government has said this would be the main agenda in the G7 summit, which is also going to take place in Italy now. So this is again about North Korea, the rogue nation. And the last news item is mapping the universe with quasar positions. So astronomers have created the first map of a large-scale structure of the universe based entirely on quasars, position of quasars. So these quasars are incredibly bright and distant points of light, which are actually powered by supermassive black holes. So these supermassive black holes, brightness is because of they are found at their centers. So this quasars, the matter and energy which falls into the quasars black hole, they heat up and the incredible temperature then begins to glow. So these quasars are points. These are sources of radio emission as such. So these radio emissions have been detected. So these are point-like or star-like radio sources. So these quasi-stellar, so quasars actually stands for quasi-stellar radio sources. Quasi means like, stellar means star. So like a star. These are radio sources like a star. So these are visible points, lights as such. So these quasars have been used to map the universe as such. So this mapping has been done. So you should know what are quasars actually. So these are the points of light, sources of radio emissions. So they have been detected using the telescopes, and this complete survey has been done, and the 3D position of more than around 1,47,000 quasars have been mapped. So this is the study. So these are not stars, but they appear like stars. These are just points as such emitting radio emissions. Emissions are there, and their brightness is because of the black holes which power them. So these are the news items. Thank you.